9 mistakes made ahead of me. I will make sure over the next decade or so that they will know that they made a mistake.
In the high-stakes world of the NFL, few tales are as compelling and cautionary as that of Josh Rosen. Traded up for and drafted 10th overall by the Arizona Cardinals in 2018, Rosen entered the league with huge expectations, expected to be the face of the franchise for years to come. Thanks to a dazzling college career at UCLA, he was heralded as a franchise quarterback and an exciting talent ready to reshape a struggling franchise. Yet, just years later, Rosen's dreams turned into a nightmare, leading many to label him one of the biggest busts in NFL history. So, just how bad was Josh Rosen actually? In 2018, the Arizona Cardinals found themselves in desperate need of a quarterback after Carson Palmer's retirement, which led to the decision to find their new franchise guy in the 2018 NFL Draft. Their 2017 season was a tumultuous one, caused mainly by Palmer breaking his arm against the LA Rams in Week 7 and missing the remainder of the season. As a result, the Cardinals were forced to rotate through quarterbacks, with Drew Stanton and Blaine Gabbert both struggling to make any real impact. The season was plagued by inconsistent performances, with the offense struggling to generate points and a defense that often bent but rarely broke. Arizona finished the season with a disappointing 8-8 record, missing the playoffs and raising questions about the team's direction. The lack of a clear leader under center became painfully evident, prompting management to look to the 2018 draft for a franchise quarterback. That quarterback was Josh Rosen, and the Cardinals traded a first, third, and fifth round pick in order to move up 5 spots to select him with the 10th overall pick, as the team hoped he could step in to fill Palmer's shoes and lead them into a new era. Rosen was initially heralded as a good pick by the Cardinals, with many analysts viewing him as one of the most talented and pro-ready quarterbacks in the class. His college career at UCLA was nothing short of remarkable, showcasing his talent and setting numerous records along the way. As a true freshman in 2015, he made an immediate impact, becoming the first Bruin to start a season opener at quarterback. Rosen set records for most passing yards by a true freshman in a game with 399, and for the season with 3,670, along with the most 300-yard passing games in a single season. His poise and ability to read defenses quickly earned him accolades, including Pac-12 Offensive Freshman of the Year. In 2016, after starting strong and throwing for a career-high 400 yards against Arizona State, Rosen's season was cut short due to injury. Nevertheless, he still managed to throw for just shy of 2,000 yards in just 6 games played. Thankfully, he rebounded in style with his junior year in 2017, solidifying his reputation as one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He led the Pac-12 in passing yards per game, engineered the largest comeback in UCLA history against Texas A&M, and set numerous school records. This added up to a fantastic 3,756-yard effort with 26 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. By the time the 2018 NFL Draft arrived, Rosen had firmly established himself as a top prospect. NFL scouts certainly liked what they saw, recognizing his strong arm, football IQ, and impressive track record. However, despite Rosen having enough broken records to justify being a top 10 pick, there was still a lot of other talent in his draft class for teams to consider. While Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Josh Allen were all selected before the Cardinals had a chance to pick them in the first round, there were still a few other big names available by the time the Cardinals were on the clock, the most notable being Lamar Jackson. In a move that now looks downright scandalous, General Manager Steve Keim and the Cardinals traded up 5 spots to take Josh Rosen 10th overall, shunning Jackson, a Heisman Trophy winner who was an intriguing dual-threat prospect. Lamar, who we all know now as the Ravens franchise quarterback and NFL MVP, fell all the way to the last pick of the first round, 22 picks after Rosen. Imagine Lamar Jackson throwing passes to Larry Fitzgerald. Yeah, the Cardinals actually had talent on the roster to aid a rookie quarterback. With Larry at receiver, even though he was fading near the end of his career, he was still Larry Fitzgerald, an All-Pro Hall of Fame receiver. At the time, no one knew that selecting Rosen before Jackson would be such a huge mistake, but there were some analysts who were skeptical about Rosen, and not just because of the way he played on the field. Some analysts were concerned by his demeanor and perceived attitude, questioning whether he had the mental toughness required to thrive in the NFL. Rosen's candid nature and outspoken personality led to divided opinions. While some appreciated his brash outspokenness, others worried it might be a liability in the highly competitive league. During one press conference, Rosen remarked on the intensity of the pressure faced by college athletes, saying, "I think that a lot of people forget that college football is a business. It's not just a game, it's a business." It's fair to say that not everyone appreciated this candidness. Despite these reservations, the overall consensus was that Rosen had the potential to be a franchise quarterback. So, when Arizona decided to pin their future hopes on him with the 10th overall selection, it didn't come as too much of a surprise. While a top 10 pick is a great achievement, Rosen was not best pleased to have fallen so far. He made a point of this by saying that there were 9 mistakes made ahead of him and that he was going to prove that throughout his career. So, how did that go for him? Early signs were generally positive. He got his first start in Week 4, and though it resulted in a 20-17 loss to the Seattle Seahawks, Rosen showcased some serious potential. He completed 15 of 27 passes for 180 yards and a touchdown, and the performance could have been considerably improved if it weren't for several poor drops from his receivers. Pro Football Focus rated Rosen's first outing an impressive 87.1 overall grade, marking it the best starting debut for a rookie quarterback since the site began grading performances in 2006. His passing mark of 89.9 ranked third among quarterbacks that week, trailing only Jared Goff and Mitchell Trubisky, both of whom had standout games. Rosen made 5 big-time throws, tying for the NFL high for the week, and everyone in Arizona was actually starting to gain some confidence and hope for their team despite now being 0-4. That excitement grew considerably when the Cardinals registered their first win of the season against the San Francisco 49ers 1 week later. Unfortunately, there weren't many high points that followed that win. In fact, only 2 more arrived as Rosen began to struggle and could only lead the team to a 3-13 record. The list of problems were endless. He clearly struggled to read what defenses were giving him, sending several passes right into the hands of defenders who were waiting in his throwing lanes. And then, when he did have an open guy, he would often throw the ball way over the top or behind him, once again finding its way to the opposition. He was taking sacks and fumbled too often, looking way out of his depth in multiple ways. He wasn't helped by inconsistent offensive line play and limited support from receivers, but it was clear what the real root of the problem was. Despite showing the occasional glimpse of talent, Rosen's rookie season ultimately underscored the steep learning curve in the NFL, a code that he just could not seem to crack. He finished the year with 2,278 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, and was very obviously struggling to adapt to the NFL. The challenges he encountered in his rookie year set the alarm bells ringing, leaving many to wonder whether he had a future as a starting quarterback. Even with this doubt lingering, Arizona's cutthroat approach to the 2019 offseason took many by surprise. You see, Rosen had played so bad that the Arizona Cardinals were now the owners of the 2019 NFL Draft's first overall pick. And instead of trying to draft players to help build around Josh, the franchise decided they had seen enough. Instead, they selected Kyler Murray, the dynamic Heisman Trophy winner from Oklahoma. In the space of 1 year, Josh Rosen had fallen from a potential franchise hero to an unwanted afterthought. With the new quarterback in town, Rosen became expendable and was immediately traded to the Miami Dolphins. The trade was a shock to many, mainly given that Rosen was just a year removed from being a top 10 pick, but also because head coach Cliff Kingsbury had definitely stated that Josh is our guy. When they did make the move, there were many who felt that he didn't get a truly fair chance. The Cardinals general manager at the time, Steve Keim, justified the move, stating, "In this league, you have to make decisions that are best for the franchise." Meanwhile, Rosen himself quipped, "It's not my fault they fell in love with another guy. To be honest, Josh, it is kind of your fault for making them want to." With a new regime and a fresh start, Rosen's journey continued, but his tenure in Arizona would sadly turn out to be the peak. Initially, he entered the 2019 season as the team's backup quarterback, but after having to come in and replace Ryan Fitzpatrick in each of the first 2 weeks, he was named the starter in Week 3. It was not a good team that he was trying to lead, but Rosen didn't help. He lost his first 2 games in charge and then was benched in his 3rd game after throwing just 85 yards and 2 interceptions. It was a mess of a season, summed up by the fact that, after Week 5, Rosen had passed for just 567 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 interceptions. Ouch! The Dolphins' overall performance was depressing, continuing the underwhelming trend of Rosen's first 2 years in the league. They finished the season with a 5-11 record. Once that season had been done and gone, it was clear that Rosen's career was coming to an early end. Media sentiment surrounding him became increasingly negative, with many analysts labeling him an all-time bust. His struggles in Miami and subsequent benching led to harsh criticism. Sports commentator Stephen A. Smith remarked, "Rosen has shown us nothing that indicates he can be a starting quarterback in this league. He's a complete bust, plain and simple." Other pundits echoed these thoughts, with former NFL quarterback Chris Sims stating, "I don't see how he'll ever succeed as a starter. He's had opportunities, and it's clear he hasn't taken advantage of them." The narrative that Rosen was a terrible player gained traction, and it seemed like the entire world was questioning his work ethic, mental toughness, and just general footballing ability. The media was also quick to point out the contrasting success of other quarterbacks from the 2018 draft class, further fueling the bust narrative. ESPN's Adam Schefter noted, "When you look at the other QBs from that draft, it's clear that Rosen is falling behind. His window to prove himself is rapidly closing." Rosen was given one more chance after his disastrous season with the Dolphins, and just like his career, it was a complete bust. In his final year in the NFL, despite being just a backup in Atlanta, Josh Rosen still managed to mess it up. He appeared in 4 games, attempting 11 passes and completing just 2 of them, while also throwing 2 interceptions. Unsurprisingly, Rosen was dropped by the Atlanta Falcons in August 2022 during the team's roster cuts leading up to the 2022 NFL season. While this move marked the end of his tenure with the Falcons, it did not officially signify the end of his career. He has continued to sign with practice squads around the league, but hasn't managed to play a regular snap since. Josh Rosen's NFL journey has cemented his place in the conversation as one of the league's biggest busts. Despite an outstanding college career at UCLA, his performance in the pros left much to be desired. So much so that Arizona cut ties with him after just 1 season. Drafted 10th overall in 2018, Rosen's fall from grace has been swift, and his NFL output pales in comparison to the hype. With other failed quarterbacks coming and going since then, where does Rosen rank on your list of all-time busts? Let us know in the comments.